All right, everybody, come on in, come on in, come on in. Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk with Maggie and Lucy. I am Maggie, the substitute teacher. You may know me for my cooking channel. I make food and femininity content. Lucy, my bestie here. We are the proud founders of the Finishing School for the Modern Woman, which is our flagship course. It is 8 weeks long. Registration is open. We only do it twice a year, and it'll be taught again in January. We teach ladies about etiquette, elegance, and femininity. And as our community service, our way of giving back, we'd like to come here with you all twice a week and react to relationship content because we believe the older women should teach the young. So Lucy, please introduce yourself and let us know, what are we reacting to tonight?
Hi, I'm Lucy. Hi, Maggie. Hi, everyone. So I have a channel, smaller channel, that basically the topics are issues that have to do with femininity, elegance, and women, things that impact women over a certain age. But today's video, I found it really interesting because, of course, it's from Dr. Taraban from Psychacks. And he always looks at the perspective of behavior, whether it's from a male's perspective or women's perspective. And this one was made, he created it for us ladies. So this is going to be really interesting.
All right, interesting is one word for it. So I'm going to give you all your disclaimers because it's going to be a doozy, but we are going to give you our best. Lucy and I combined have over 40 years of marriage experience. So if you want to watch the video uninterrupted, I have linked it in the description. You can always watch it without our commentary. We will play and pause it and interject with our thoughts. Also, over here, Lucy and I come from traditional backgrounds, so we believe in boys and girls, men and women, husbands and wives, moms and dads, in that order. So if you want to do something other than that, that's fine. You just probably won't be happy over here. All right, so without further ado, thank you all so much for coming in, and this is a Psychacks video. So let me mute myself and share my screen, and then we are going to listen to what he has to say. The title is Understanding Men, Rich, Attractive, or Loyal. All right, let's get into it.
Taraban, and this is Psychacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic for today's short talk is Understanding Men. Ladies, this is an episode for you. Unfortunately, it has come to my attention that some of you might need some education with respect to the opposite sex. So I'm here to explain a few things to you today with respect to getting what you want from men. If you take what I say under consideration, I assure you that you will have a much easier time in your dealings with us. Let's get to it. Perhaps you've heard it said that in business, you can have things good, you can have things fast, and you can have things cheap, but that you can only choose two. This is very true. If you want it fast and cheap, it's not going to be good. If you want it good and cheap, it's not going to be fast. And if you want it fast and good, it's not going to be cheap. Makes sense and fits with your experience, doesn't it? Now, there's a similar principle at work with respect to men. Here it is. A man can be rich, a man can be attractive, and a man can be loyal. But you can only get two.
Oh my goodness, Lucy woke up and chose violence today. All right, everybody. So before we all get our feelings hurt, ladies, I want to take a moment to dive into this on the non-relationship side, and then we'll get into the relationship content because you can see he's not pulling any punches here. He's going to lay it out. But I was thinking about what he just said, and think of any service that you pay for. It could be housekeeping, it could be car washing, it could be any service that you want from somebody else, ladies. So like he said, in business, a lot of us with our big jobs like to talk about how business savvy we are. You can pick three. And if you're in project management, you know about the triangle, scope, time, and cost. But you can either have quality, You can have speed or you can have price. So if you think about, let's say you have someone clean your house. If you want it done to the best quality, it's not going to be the cheapest price and it's probably not going to be at the slowest speed. If you want the cheapest housekeeper you can find, you can expect that the quality is going to lower in turn. So think about any service that you can apply this principle to, because you'll notice the way that Dr. Taraban explains things. If you've read his book, Lucy and I have both read his book, this is the way that he teaches. He takes a business principle, make sure we understand the business principle, and all the heads are nodding. Let the church say amen. We all get that, before he translates it into relationship, and then we can all, run howling at the moon. What would you add, Lucy?
And I think it's kind of like a really practical male perspective, where he's saying that, in the real world, sometimes you have to compromise for one of three things. And this is what he's going to be presenting to us. I think as women, we tend to say, yeah, we want it all. But really, do we really want it all? And then because we are so emotional and so sometimes out of control, even when we have it all, we want more. So again, this is his presentation is just fantastic. How he shows us how practical he can be, presenting sometimes some ideas that we women have taken into the next level.
All right, so let's see what y'all are saying in the chat. Shout out to Next Level. Let's get into it. The Condemned is asking, ladies, you can share or not share. The Condemned wants to know, if you had to pick, ladies, rich, attractive, and loyal, those are the three qualities, which two are you picking in your man? All right, so let's get back into it and see what Psychacks has to say.
Max. And I say max because the fact of the matter is, you'll be lucky if you get one. My apologies if that sounds cynical, but it's true. For instance, most men are not rich, which is why people will say that a woman is fortunate if she finds a rich husband. By the same token, most men are not attractive. They are dull and insipid and do little to inspire authentic desire. And finally, most men are not loyal, at least not in their heart of hearts. You might meet the occasional guy who swears up and down that he is monogamous by nature. However, when you meet him, you'll usually find his wife within earshot, or a suspicious lack of admirers that makes his loyalty less a virtue than a given.
All right, so I want to unpack this. Some of y'all are starting to share in the chat. And he said something about men are not loyal by nature. So ladies, it is really important, especially for those of you all who haven't been around men or masculine men or the kind of men that are husband material. Maybe you have a lot of women in your family. Let's talk about the three qualities. All right. I know Jessica's saying it's about character. Not tonight, sweetheart. You get three to choose from, because he's trying to drive this point home so we women can get out of our feelings and saying that's hard, LOL. I don't think there's anything funny. I think we really need to think seriously about who men are. And they're amazing. But let's talk about that. Rich, handsome, and loyal. So the rich part, we've talked about this a lot in our spaces. I think a lot of women, especially in the Western world, have an inflated sense of what a provider is. A provider makes sure that your needs are taken care of. Now, if you want to be a bat all by yourself, that's fine. But if you are fortunate to have someone who can provide all of your needs and some extra things, in my opinion, that's rich. I don't think any of us grew up rich. Lucy and I both come from immigrant families. So, if you have a man who can change your life and you don't have to work, or you have the option to work, to me, that's considered rich. You may have a different threshold, 7 figures, 6 figures, that's fine. But the point is, ladies, most men are not that. And you all know Lucy and I have a connection to the late, great Kevin Samuels, and he talked about statistics. I think the average salary for men is somewhere between like 40 and 60, depending on, different demographics. So if you have a man who can take care of himself and you and a family, I would call that rich. Most men are not. Number two, attractiveness or handsomeness. I love that he said most men are not attractive, meaning, yes, you want to be attracted to your man. But I think especially in modern culture, we look at men the way men used to look at ladies, meaning he has got to be my Ken doll. He has got to do all the things that make me excited. He's got to be as tall as I like, flat abs, full head of hair, all the things that you dreamed up this make-believe man. But your average man is average, just like most of us are average. So again, I don't want you ladies to have this inflated sense of if somebody doesn't walk off GQ magazine and into your life, he's not a good man. And then the third thing, loyal. I had a conversation with my man about this one. And ladies, men are just very brutal. But he said, babe, do you know what the number one thing is on any man's mind since, puberty years? And I'm like, I know what it is. So let us not shame men for their biology. All right. So it is innate in them to want that thing all of the time. So a lot of women try to, wonderful Aaron Laura still coming through 28 months of supporting. Thank you. A lot of women look at men that have a drive, that have a desire, that are still very virile, look at it like there's something wrong with him. There's nothing wrong with him. Men choose to dedicate themselves to their woman, but their natural biology, their natural desire is to have it all. So I wanted to make sure we understood the baseline before we went on. What would you add, Lucy?
What is fascinating to me is this concept of these modern women looking for rich men. I don't ever remember when I was dating my first husband or my husband right now that I was always looking for how much money does he have? Is he rich? He showed me by the way he was doing things for me that he was a man that wanted to take care of me. But I never wanted somebody to have a certain amount of money in the bank account. That is silly. That is just too materialistic. And men know when you're looking for that one thing to make or break the relationship. Second of all, looks. I mean, men really weren't meant to be pretty or handsome. I remember when I was younger and I was very, pretty. The last thing I was looking for was a handsome man because it turned me off. It's like he's spending more time on himself than on, building himself, maybe a nice body that I liked. But as far as like being handsome like that, no, I just didn't think that men were supposed. I still don't think men are supposed to be that pretty. And when it comes to loyalty, for me, the reason I like older men is because they've been there, done that, and that wandering eye stops. It's still there, but they know when they have something good at home that they're not going to tear their home apart for that nice eye candy.
All right, let's go back in and see what else Dr. Taraban has to say.
And this is why women can only get 2 of these 3 goods max. There's an economic principle that no one will pay more than they need to, and any one of these 3 things is extremely expensive. Like being rich, high status, and successful takes an incredible amount of work. By the same token, being attractive, not just in the sense of being 6'2" with good abs, though that certainly doesn't hurt, but in the sense of being interesting or thrilling or fun or charming or a good lover or witty or a pleasure to be around, also takes a great deal of work. And while being loyal can also take work, this only really takes work after a man becomes attractive or rich, as it's only then that he attains any optionality to speak of to tempt his loyalty. In any case, any one of these 3 things is extremely expensive, which is why most men don't have any of them, and why hooking a man with even one of the three is considered fortunate. So if possessing even one of the three already puts a man ahead of most men, then possessing two of the three easily places him in the top percentiles.
All right, so you all can see Dr. Taraban. I mean, he's a PhD, so sometimes I have to listen and re-listen. But I love what he said about those three qualities in men, ladies. Being rich, being attractive, or being loyal are very expensive to the man. Why should you care? Again, because we want something from that man. So he's already paying a cost or has paid a cost, and then we want more on top of that. So there's nothing wrong with wanting what you want, but I want the ladies to understand that what we want from our men costs them something. Either it has cost them something or it will cost them something. So let's go back to our baseline here. Rich. You heard him say men are not born rich unless you're a trust fund kid. But most of the men that we admire that have made themselves, they have an origin story. My man had to dress up as the Chick-fil-A cow when he was, coming up, and now he's got properties and all of this. So they all have a point where they decided to go after what made them rich, okay, whatever that is to you. Attractive. Now, of course, you have the features that you have, but you all know the men that dedicate to their fitness, it costs them something. Maybe they have to work out, maybe they have to hire a trainer, maybe they can't eat what they want to, but it costs them something to have that attractiveness that we like. And then finally, the loyalty. We just talked about the biology of men. So every time a man says no to his own desire, that costs him something. And that could be a willing no, but I want the ladies to appreciate when a man chooses you, he is basically spending of his own limited resources on you. So, the way my man says it, like, look, those pick your favorite thing. I'll say it, food. But how many times can you see your favorite food and continue to tell yourself no? So I'm just saying that we have to understand what our men go through when they give themselves to us. What would you add, Lucy?
And it's also a reminder that it will also cost you, the woman, when you have a man that is handsome, because you're always going to be looking to see if other women are wanting that same thing that you already have. The same thing with money. If he's got money, he's going to have to be making it. He's probably not going to be spending as much time with you because he's going to be out there, hustling and doing what got him to be wealthy or rich. And then the loyalty, if he already has the looks and the money, there is much more available to him out there. So you're also going to be worried about him having all that availability because he's got the looks, he's got the money, and he's got that available, those women that are throwing himself onto him. So again, it goes back to, for me, taking care of my man at home just to make sure that all of his needs are met so he won't be looking for them outside of my home.
And there you go. So ladies, if you have a man, especially our young ladies, I hear this and it breaks my heart. A lot of times when people have been together for a while, they're kind of like, he'll be all right. No, he won't. Let's see what y'all are saying in the chat. Rodney says money doesn't always measure one's wealth. Emotional depth and health are also forms in wealth. That may be true, but for today's class, we're talking about rich, attractive, loyal. Ladies, you got to pick one. You're lucky if you get two, according to Dr. Taraban. UFO Kamikaze says, to be fair, some men just naturally look, however they look without obsessing over the appearance. Absolutely. Condemn says, the rhetoric that's been put on men's loyalty and faithfulness to one woman, despite grown men and women knowing that men naturally desire multiple women, is disingenuous. All right, let's go back in here, see what Dr. Taraban has to say.
As a result, possessing all three would be overkill and a waste of necessarily limited resources, since a man can clearly compete successfully with just two. But let's get back to these goods. You may not believe me, ladies, but most men start off by offering loyalty. This is because it takes a lot of work to be rich or attractive, and not a lot of work to be loyal when you're neither rich or attractive. And men understand that if you're not yet rich or attractive, they had better be loyal, because very few, if any, women are going to be interested in getting with a man who has none of the three goods in question. So most men start out loyal because it usually takes a good deal of time and effort to achieve the other two. If you appreciate the insights on this channel, I would highly encourage people to have sex with the women they want to have sex with. And most of them envy women's ability to do this so easily. However, in the absence of the other two goods, men have to present at least the semblance of loyalty in order to access any woman whatsoever. And even this, in many cases, won't be enough. Most men have had the experience of sincerely pledging their love and devotion to a woman only to be passed over for a man who is either more attractive or more successful. This is how men learn from women that of the three goods, loyalty is the least desirable.
All right, y'all, let's unpack this one. Some of you may agree, some of you all may not agree. But I do want to talk about what he said. I forwarded over the commercial. Lucy and I have both bought his book. Highly recommend it. You all can check it out. All right. So what he was saying is that because it costs a man all three, loyalty, rich, finances, and attractiveness, usually they start out with the loyalty because it takes the longer time to acquire wealth and to get your fitness in shape. You all know, I mean, when a man comes into his own and he's taking care of himself, it takes a lot of work. But did you hear what he said, that oftentimes men find out from other women that the loyalty that they were willing to give is not as important when our head turns to the man that has the riches and the man that has the attractiveness? Maybe not you. This is what he's saying. So what is my point? My point on this one too, especially because if men start out with the loyalty, and then they realize, okay, what women really want is the richness and looks, maybe in that order, in a different order. And then they go acquire those things. If you've ever had the experience where a man later in life is less loyal, hopefully that helps you understand that he's finally at a position where now he can enjoy the fruits of his labor. I'm just sharing. And logically, it makes sense. If he didn't have the opportunity before, now he has the opportunity. What would you add, Lucy?
It makes sense that loyalty doesn't require much effort. It actually does for men, I'm thinking, but it doesn't require for him to go hustle out there and to do all of the hard things, working out. You can, I guess you have to be, as a man, very disciplined to offer that loyalty without having to offer the wealth or the looks. So yeah, that's interesting to me, because I'm thinking about young men. It's probably really, really hard for young men to be loyal like that, because those hormones are going all over the place. So that's an interesting perspective, that could work. But from what I'm thinking of all the young men that I have seen, my nephews and all that stuff, that loyalty is going to be tested a lot.
A lot. And ladies, this is a good thing, because as the men acquire those other two things, now usually looks may decline a little bit, but some men can get better with age. I like a little salt and pepper, nothing wrong with that. And then usually men acquire their wealth well into their 40s and 50s. And so, like Lucy said, it is going to be tested. So ladies, we just want you to have a good understanding of what men are up against. All right. The Condemned says, especially when many women are still sharing in secret. Well, everybody's relationship is their own and none of my business. Ethel says, my husband is not rich, but we put our money together and that makes him rich. This is his second marriage and had to start over. I love him no matter what. And that right there, ladies, when a man knows that his woman is devoted to him through all of his phases, man, that right there, that is so important and well rewarded. All right, y'all are just saying hi to each other. Let's go back in and see what Dr. Taraban has to say.
Men realize that the way out of this difficulty is to cultivate at least one of the other two goods, attractiveness or wealth. Having either one will open up more and better sexual opportunities for a man, and having both puts them in a world that most men can only dream of. Women might want all three, but getting just two is a stroke of supremely good luck, and a woman must be, in some sense, extraordinary in order to catch such a man. In general, it's not enough to merely be beautiful. She must also play the game of seduction extremely well. Now, let's briefly take a look at these three archetypes of very desirable men. Let's start with the man who is loyal and attractive. That's the archetype of the Romeo. Romeos can be extremely exciting and passionate. Because they are themselves so pleasing and charming, a woman is transformed into a queen when she receives their focused and piercing attention. They can be fun and bold and devoted. However, they typically haven't developed much in terms of a lifestyle. And as a result, Romeos tend to make fantastic short-term lovers, as it's difficult to maintain that kind of dynamic indefinitely. Once the magic wears off, women eventually discover that the emperor has no clothes. Next up is the man who...
Oh my goodness, I love these analogies. All right, so ladies, those of you who are romantics at heart, those of you who, roses are red and violets are blue, those of you who love the men who write you poems and they just pine over you and they're strikingly handsome, but they're the starving artist. Maybe, not that anything's wrong with this, but they drive for Uber full-time or do DoorDash, not as a side hustle, but they just really aren't established. But you are the apple of his eye. Everything about you. He is your number one fan, and he's just so dreamy to look at. This is a mistake a lot of young women make, or immature women make, because you are letting your emotions, your feelings, your hopelessly in love lead you down a path to hitch your wagon to someone who doesn't have a future. And that's what we teach the ladies in the wife lessons as far as how to really choose what is a husband, what are husband qualities. So we want you all to snap out of it and realize that may be that romance novel of your dreams, but like he said, it's short term and not sustainable. What would you say about the Romeo, Lucy?
I agree. You think about these rom-coms, all these young, loyal type men, and all they do is create this dream about the woman being the woman of his dreams, but then there's really nothing else that they can provide. There's no future. So again, those are short-term relationships that tend to fade because there's eventually both find that there's not much in common in that relationship. It's only, just looks and the thrills and, the puppy love from the beginning. But, time changes a lot of relationships. And this Romeo concept is a short-term concept.
Yes, and ladies, here's your warning. This is where a lot of women get caught up, and you have to be very protective, I'll say it, of your womb. Some of you all had children for men that romanced you to the hills, but they have nothing to offer you or the child that you all have created. So be very careful. Those men are fun to look at. They have their place. Let them stand on stage and woo you, with the love songs, but absolutely not husband material. Let's see what you all are saying in the chat. Rodney says, loyalty requires personal discipline done in times of loneliness and growth. Aaron Laura is liking this. Yeah, his teaching style, it's a little, it took me a while to get used to it, but I do love how he teaches. And Rodney says, true, loyalty is the least desirable by women. And like Lucy said, as we age, ladies, yes, we want loyalty, but it doesn't matter if a man is hopelessly devoted to you if he's hopeless.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Rodney says loyalty seems to be a form of leverage which can be used against a man. Interesting. All right, let's go back in and listen to the second archetype.
Who is rich and loyal. That's the archetype of the patron. Patrons pride themselves on their discernment and taste. They are lavish with their spending and take pains to demonstrate their ardor for the objects of their devotion. Think the Taj Mahal. Patrons ensure that their women are comfortable, even pampered. Sounds good, right? The downside, of course, is that they're not attractive. Patrons might only want to have sex with you, but women might not feel any authentic desire for them, turning their lovemaking into a transactional chore. Women generally don't fuck their fans. And the more adoration and security patrons provide, the more uninterested women can often become. As a result, patrons tend to find themselves disrespected and unappreciated as time goes by. Finally, we come to the man.
All right, ladies, he's calling it a patron. I'm going to go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off. Those of you all who like to have sponsors, sugar daddies, men who buy you things, fly you out, trips and trinkets, all of these things. This is another mistake that I see a lot of women get caught up on. And a hot girl summer, especially if you're attractive and someone has money and they can dangle that carrot in front of you and here you come. That summer, which you don't even need, turns into a year, turns into a decade. All right. So for the man, you're basically being rinsed for your money. You're not attractive, but you have this, arm candy that you'll just keep, pouring out money on her. And for the women, here's the issue that you all have. You're short-sighted because you think you're winning, collecting trips and trinkets. But the cost for you is that you are not developing real relationship skills. I don't care how much money this sugar daddy or sponsor spends on you, you are going to start to have an expectation that this is what a relationship is. You heard him say the word transactional. So if someone doesn't get your hair done and pay your buy your outfit and all this foolishness that women are asking for a date, then you just blow him off. Oh my goodness. Shout out to Thane. Y'all know who he is. He's always lurking. He's always here. Our number one sponsor. What does he say? I'm coming back to the patron because I want to land that plane. He says, City Boys, we up. Okay, really? We Dusties, shout out to Dusties, are out here offering loyalty. Drizzle, drizzle. In dust we trust. Okay, Thane is acting up. But ladies, so we talked about the Romeo. Okay, someone attractive and loyal, but broke, or at least cannot offer you anything in a real relationship. The patron, my warning to the ladies, I really think it shows bad character if you know you don't like a man, if you know you're not really interested in him, yet you take advantage of his resources. In my opinion, that hammer is coming. Karma is going to come back to you. I have seen it. And so be very careful. If you are attractive and you have the opportunity to just get trips and trinkets from men that you have no intentions for, it's costing you because you're going to be behind. You're going to meet somebody like a Thane one day, and then you're going to be confused when he tells you no. What would you add, Lucy?
They're always watching. Thane, he was just over here and then he found the opportunity and wham, he talks about the Dusties. Anyway, so yeah, this is a really interesting concept because I do see a lot of the modern women asking for monetary things from men that they have no interest in, but just for the cash, which it's also a character flaw on the woman, because no honorable woman will be taking that money from a man that you are planning on offering him nothing in return. Usually when you go on a date, if you like the man, if he gives you something, it's that dance, that back and forth. He gives you something, I give him something. But in this case, The guy has his entire loyalty to you, giving you everything, and then you take and take without giving anything back. That is so scary. That is so selfish, and it shouldn't be. That shows your lack of character if you're behaving that way.
Thank you for saying this, and this may hurt some feelings, but I'm going to say it. One of the reasons why I've stopped talking to women one-on-one, I had no idea there are women out here of such poor character. Lucy said it. I don't know where the morals have gone, but ladies, it is coming back to you. I have heard women take money from men, and then when the man is calling them and wanting to see them, they're annoyed that he's bothering them. And I asked this one woman I talked to, I said, well, why don't you just give him the money back? Oh, I don't do refunds. That's what she said. Still single. I have heard other women who had the promise of being lavish with all kind of gifts and purses and trips and all these things from somebody that she barely knew. Turned out it was a catfish situation. But I asked this person, I said, if you knew this person in this short amount of time and everything that he was offering you was true, would you take it? And the answer was yes. And I'll never look at that person the same again. Because to me, I could not sleep at night. I would be looking over my shoulder. It would haunt me to know that I'm taking resources from a man that I barely know. Men make investments for a reason, ladies. You've got to stop being as short-sighted. Let's go back into the third archetype.
Who is rich and attractive. That's the archetype of the playboy. Playboys are sophisticated and charming and well-spoken and debonair. They're no stranger to the good things in life, and they're happy to share them with the women who catch their fancy. There is never a dull moment with a playboy, as he knows how to stimulate a woman's emotions and possesses the resources to actually realize his audacious designs. And don't let the public censure of rakes fool you. Women love playboys. How else could they find so many willing lovers? If you capture a playboy's heart, expect investment, not exclusivity. And if you can't do that, then at least enjoy your time while it lasts. Hopefully, he'll leave you with some exciting memories to enliven your responsible domesticity.
Why do I need to get the dictionary out every time I listen to Psychacks? Okay, so the playboy. So I guess the playboy to me is like the elevated Romeo. So the Romeo didn't have any money. He was attractive and loyal to you. The playboy now is the one with options. He is attractive. He's got money. Here's your playboy in the club, right? He's the one that's just like turn up, bottle service, all of that stuff that what did Kevin Samuels call them? The athletes and entertainers. They are basically like, you know what? I keep a roster. I keep a rotation. Don't ask, don't tell. That is the playboy. So again, ladies, it can be exciting. If that's the type of excitement that you want, none of this is sustainable for long term. And what Lucy and I teach here are real relationship skills if you want a traditional relationship with a masculine man. So be careful of the playboy. The playboy is never going to devote himself to you because he doesn't have to. And he's telling you up front. And the saddest thing that I see here is a lot of women waste their time chasing around playboys. Sometimes they're even younger than you, but you think you're going to be the one to lock him down when he has been living his bachelor life for the whole world to see. And you just get caught up in it and you're wasting time that you don't have. What would you say about the playboy, Lucy?
Yeah, when I think about the playboy, I think of that 50 Shades of Grey, the CEO, young man that has everything and falls in love with the assistant, and he gives everything the assistant. And then in the movie, the guy is incredibly loyal to her. That is just story time. Pretty Woman, the same thing. Oh my goodness, he comes and picks her up from the streets, and he makes her a lady, and then she's still from the streets. And it's just those stories that it's not true. The real playboy is Leo DiCaprio. How old is he? He's like almost 50,
Over
and
40.
he dates Right. And he dates 25-year-olds and he exchanges them after they become older. So he goes through them because he can. He's got the looks, kind of, and he's got a lot of money. So he's that playboy that he will never settle down, even though these young women think I might be the one that makes him settle. It's not going to happen. He's just used to that environment, to that behavior, and you take it as it is. He's handsome, he's rich, and good luck if he's loyal.
I absolutely love that. This comment, y'all are killing me. Team Peterson says Thane represents Black men so well. We love Mufasa Thane here. He says, in dust we trust. I can't with y'all. But it's true. Here's the thing, ladies. Lucy and I have both said it. The playboy, you see him coming. You see him a mile away. All right. I know some women get mad that Leo is still out here living his bachelor life. Didn't George Clooney do the same thing until he was good and ready? What do I tell you all? You can accept with grace or you can exit with grace. We are not going to wrestle them to the ground. But Leo is not promising any of these women a lifetime of love. He's basically saying, you want to ride with me? Let's go. And what comes with that comes with that. All right. Let's go back in and finish up.
And what of the man who is rich and attractive and loyal? That's the archetype of the Prince Charming, which is why we're not going to talk about him. Prince Charming is a fairy tale. He doesn't actually exist. And unfortunately, too many women come to that realization too late in their lives, and then punish the men who do engage with them for not living up to an unrealizable ideal. Ladies, the sooner you can disabuse yourself of that bedtime story, the better. In any case, I hope that was enlightening. Whether or not you want to engage with men is up to you, but this is how you can do so in reality. A man can be rich or attractive or loyal, and most of you will be lucky if you get one. If you have the good fortune to land a man with two, then you better not rock the boat. Plenty of women with better sense will be more than happy to take your place. What do you think? Does this fit with your own experience? Let me know in the comments below. And please send this episode to someone who you think might benefit from its message, as it's word of mouth referrals like this that really help to make the channel grow.
All right, ladies. So I love that he closed on the Prince Charming and he said it doesn't exist because it is a fairy tale. And this is another cavern, huge hole that I see a lot of modern women fall into. They are holding on to that list of 34 things, to the perfect man that they've dreamed up, to the Prince Charming in their minds. And ladies, it doesn't exist. I had a clip that went viral on Instagram because somebody brought up the word settling, and I said men have been settling, right? This is not a new thing for them. So I love that Dr. Taraban is basically saying, ladies, we get one. If you have two, if you have someone who is loyal and wealthy or attractive to you and rich or whatever the combination is and it's important to you, hold on. Absolutely hold on. So the Prince Charming is great in a story. It's great in a romance novel. It's great in your fantasy. That's not the real world. So ladies, before you, like he said, dismiss a real man who's giving you his best, what he can give, because you're holding out for a fantasy. This is where we find attractive women who are alone, well into their 30s, 40s, 50s. I had someone much senior reach out to me. So find a good one. Work out what you all need to work out together. Your business is nobody else's, and hold on to that man. What would you add, Lucy?
And the good one that you find, he can become your own Prince Charming. You can look up to him and think that he's your everything, because that's the whole point. In marriage, you look for the characteristics that make you adore that man. Does he have everything? No, he could probably work out if he has like what is it, a dad's bod. But you know what? Sometimes you get to love that dad bod. So again, once you find your good man, it's time for you to make him your Prince Charming. Once he's got those amazing characteristics in that character that you know that will make your life much easier. Because again, all the good men want from us is to be our heroes, is to make our lives easy, is for us to say, babe, thank you so much for making my life so beautiful. Again, you can make that man your Prince Charming if you want that relationship to thrive.
I absolutely love that, ladies. And I've dropped the chat because I've dropped the link in the chat because this actually reminds me of something that Thane said. I was consulting with another woman who she had a thing for bad boys or, men that were attractive to her, but she was always getting friend zoned. It never really proceeded past anything serious. And I asked her about that. I said, the type of men that you seem to always go to don't like you back. Why not find a good man that is husband material and build something with him? The men that were that way approached her and she turned them down. And when I asked her why, she said her logic is, well, I don't think it's fair for me to date somebody I'm not attracted to. Okay, at a certain point, I'm just like, fine, I understand. But I remember talking to Thane, and he actually said, you know what? Whatever happened to people growing to love? Whatever happened to people when you've been in a long-term relationship? There's a beauty and there's a twinkle there, especially when you've built something with that your husband or your wife that nobody else sees. Beauty really is in the eye of the beholder. And it saddens me, especially as a mother, that, women, that's what's wrong with these apps and swiping. You see, a picture of somebody and you're like, next, next, next. And that's fine. The young people want to tell me that's how we date now. Okay. But I really want you all to think about the qualities that make a man husband material. And then think about yourself. How would you feel if you were diluted down to 3 qualities? So think about what you have to offer. Think about what's really important to you. I know what my 2 are. Some of you all have shared what yours are, but we're not going to get everything, ladies, and that's okay. You are very lucky if you get 2, because most women get 1 if they get a man at all. All right, let's see what you all are saying in the chat. Y'all are liking this, kicking down the door, and just telling the truth. I really want us ladies to come out of the clouds and live in the real world. Find a good man or be found by a good man and get out of this dating market. It's not helping you. Y'all are laughing. B or Bay says attraction is about polarity and not just looks. You don't need all 3 goods to attract a good partner. You just need a woman who values what you have to offer and you are excited to love back. Yeah, I think so. Kevin Samuels used to say, relationships, especially for those of us who are older, you make a deal, as long as my crazy doesn't drive you crazy and we can ride this thing out. Let's not pretend we all don't have our quirks, right? Let's not pretend we don't, we come through the door with perfection. We do not. Ladies, come on. Let's be honest about that. All right, let's see what else you all are saying. Yes, everybody loves it when Thane comes through. It is such an honor that he watches over us, one of the founding fathers, and been with us since the beginning. Ronnie says a transactional mindset is unproductive for a wifely mindset. Yes, circle back to the playboy. Ladies that are spending time chasing that man in that fast car with the money and he can buy you all those things. You're moving farther and farther from being a wife. Absolutely. Dr. Steele says some men do have tendencies to lead in with their wallets or their occupations instead of their names and personalities. Understand. All right, let me just see if you all have anything else. And I will say this, and we're not going to judge anybody, but some women are okay with having an agreement in their relationship. It's none of my business. It's none of ours. But I think these are women that if you can have a conversation and let's say maybe your man travels for business or whatever it is, and you have your understanding, but he takes care of home, do what works for you. Or, whatever it is. Yes. Thane says that the poor souls will pay for their fun experiences in the long run. Absolutely. And we see this. We see these ladies are just destroyed because what did Kevin Samuel say? You don't know how to pair bond. You don't know what it is to be locked in with one man. You've had too many experiences, and we're not built for that, ladies. Stop thinking we can move like men do. We can't. My man will tell me, yeah, you can be intimate with a woman and forget her name. God. All right. Let's see. What else are you all saying in the chat? Yeah, we talked about the fairy tale. So I'd love to know between the Romeo, the patron, and the playboy, ladies, if you want to share, which one is your guilty pleasure? Let's see. What would you add, Lucy? I'm just going to look through the comments.
Yeah, I think my guilty pleasure is the patron. Rich and loyal. Well, I don't know, because my husband has everything. To me, he's those three. He's not wealthy. We're not like living in a lavish style. But if I compared my living when I lived in Nicaragua or Venezuela, this is amazing. This country has offered us an amazing thing, and my husband has given me a perfect life. So again, I think it's, yeah, I mean, Romeo, patron, and playboy. The playboy part would probably be a no for me because I'm too neurotic, and I would be so concerned about my rich, handsome husband having things aside. And yeah, that to me is, I don't know about that. I don't know. I even, I think I've shared stories about when we went to Nicaragua and this girl was looking at my husband. We almost got into, a little argument, and I am not jealous, I don't think, but it touched me. I'm going, this woman is looking at my husband. What is wrong with her? So I guess that part, I think I'm a little more protective for my man. But yeah, it's a great discussion. I love this discussion.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and share mine, and I'm going to go ahead and kick down the door as I've always have. I guess my guilty pleasure is the playboy. So my man, and I've shared with you all bits and pieces of this, and this was something that I had to arrive to. But I told you this is somebody that I've known from childhood, and I was raised to be a wife. I would have been married at 20, but he flat out told me no. I want to live my life. I want to have my free life. And his own words went off to be frat boy supreme. And so I asked him, because I married the college sweetheart instead. And I was like, what did y'all do at those frat parties? And he started to tell me, and I was like, okay, no, I can't take it anymore. And, for me, now that life has brought us back together, he does. He travels. Well, before the pandemic, he used to travel a lot for work. And sometimes he would tell me, because he's this big VP, how the women would get on these business trips and how they'd get a little tipsy at the bar and, oh, can you walk me back to my room and all these things. And if I allowed myself to, I could just go down into that, oh, what about this? What about that? I decided to say, you know what? I am going to focus on what I can control. And I can make sure that I always give him a reason to choose me. I can make sure that every interaction with me is a pleasant one. I can make sure that I'm unproblematic. I can make sure that I support him, give him everything that I can. And if I'm not enough, I'm not enough. And I accept that. I know a lot of women probably wouldn't, but hopefully this video and this dialogue has helped you ladies to realize that this is the real world that we live in, and this is the nature of men. All right. So you can pick one: attractive, wealthy, or loyal. Maybe you're lucky if you get two, but if you're holding out for all three, that Prince Charming is not coming to save you. So this was a good one. Thank you for sharing this one, Lucy. I didn't know how this one was going to go. Thank you, as always, Thane, for being our channel sponsor. And Lucy and I have registration open for the Finishing School for the Modern Woman, we will be teaching our femininity classes again in January. So ladies, you could ask for this for your Christmas gift. We are going to be teaching 8 weeks in personal development to help you be the caliber of woman. Begin your journey on that personal development, femininity, elegance, etiquette, and all of those things. And a huge graduation, including a yacht cruise. Notice the boat in the back. One of our very generous sponsors is sending us on a yacht cruise here in Atlanta. So we cannot wait to teach you. So anything to close us out, Lucy?
We're not having a Saturday live stream, right? We're meeting until, is it this Saturday or next Saturday?
No, I'm here this Saturday. So yes, we will be here this Saturday, but the Maggie meetup cruise is next week. So you all will have us. We're usually here Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, Saturdays at 5 p.m. So you all will get us Saturday, but not next week, Wednesday. I do have some travel coming up. So before we dismiss, I'm going to give our channel sponsor his little commercial, and then we will say good night to all of you. And thank you so much. Do I have it here? There he is.
Thane Mithra has spoken.
All right, everybody. This was a fun one. We will see you all back Saturday with another relationship video to give you our perspective as the older women teaching the young. Yes, our lion is here. And as always, thank you so much, Thane Mithra. So with that, we will say adios.
Adios.